This video is going to be about the spring cleaning I do in my yard. Most of the cleaning I do is pretty simple stuff and it's maintenance, but some of it gets to be the grind. And by the grind, I mean those tasks and projects that you just hate to do, whether it be because it's boring, it's difficult, it's laborious. Now the grind that comes in for me when I do my backyard and clean things up is the sweet gum balls. I don't know how many of you are familiar with these trees. They're prolific here in the South, but I've got one in my backyard, and it produces the sweet gum balls. And these things get everywhere, especially in the wintertime. I probably clean them up at least once a month, if not every 2 weeks in the winter. Whenever we have a nice day, I'll go out there and rake them, I'll blow them, I'll do whatever it takes to get rid of them. Not hard work to blow them or rake them or anything, but where the labor comes in is these things get into my riverbeds, my dry riverbeds I use for drainage. And boy, they get in there between the rocks. I mean, they get everywhere. They just get hung up. There's no way you can blow them out. I guess they're, by nature's design, these things are designed to get embedded and hung up and stuff. So the only way really to get in there and clean these things out and get the rivers really clear of them is to get in there on my knees and I get a bucket and I just start picking them. It's not the end of the world. I got a pad I can kneel on. I get in there, I put on some music, and I get it done. Now these balls, like I said, you can blow them out of here. I've used a blower, but out of these rocks and stuff, they just get hung up. And then when you blow them out of here, they'll just get spread everywhere out in the yard again as well. So in the wintertime, I'll do that. But right now, I got to get them out of here. We don't have too many of them in the summer. The winters and the falls, mainly when they fall down and get all over the yard. So I got to it. Probably took me about an hour to get down towards the end. And once you get to the end, this is where they build up, because I guess these things float when the water's flowing heavily, and they build up right down the end of the river at the fence and create a dam. And because of the nature they are, that they kind of stick and bind to everything, the sticks and the leaves and everything builds up, so you get a big mess at the end of it, which causes a dam. I should clean this out more often in the wintertime. This isn't the task I really feel like doing, and I'll always find something that seems to be more important to put as a priority over getting this done. When these rivers are running with water during the rains that we get, they're really beautiful. They can really flow pretty heavily because they have all my downspouts attached to them that flow right into these rivers, both sides of the house, and I also have my neighbors flow into it as well to prevent the erosion that comes from their yard into mine. And so they flow pretty heavy. It looks pretty cool. It's very nice to sit out on the deck and watch the rivers flow. So they're definitely worth having, and they're very nice when they're dry as well. And they also separate the yard into different gardens. So I got these rivers and all the debris that I could hand pick cleared out. So the next step is I use a torch or a flamethrower, if you will. This one's called the Green Dragon. I use this because I could get in there and it burns all the debris, all the leftover stuff. It just cooks it out, so I don't have to blow it and get it all over the yard. I'll blow it after I'm done here, but I burn it all out. It really works well. I love this thing. It's kind of fun to use, but I get everything out. Now, if I could burn those sweet gum balls out of there, I would, but they're just too big and they don't burn too fast. But I get those cleared out, and then I'll burn all the debris out of here. But as I'm doing that, I'm also burning out any weeds or grass that grow in between the rocks. It's very difficult to pull those weeds out when they're between the rocks and all the different cracks and stuff. So this flamethrower works perfectly. I'll probably do it about every 2 weeks to a month in the summertime as weeds and grass start building up again in the river bottom there. Also, I use the flamethrower here to edge along the edge of the river. The grass that grows through the rocks right on the edge of the river and over it, I just burn that back a little bit, and it doesn't come back for about a month, and I'll just do it again throughout the summer. It doesn't hurt it, it doesn't leave any marks. It's a little black in the beginning, but as it grows, you get rid of that quickly. So that works quite well. So I'll take this torch and I'll burn that whole river all the way up to the front yard, and I'll get all the debris and get this river cleaned up, and it looks super nice. After I finish up cleaning out the rivers, it's time to go and blow off the patios and get them prepped for power washing. Now, I also use the torch on the patios. I have 2 different patios, and grass and weeds, different things will start growing between the seams of the pavers. I remediated this several times by putting more sand in between the pavers, but especially on my big patio in the middle of the yard, I have moss growing in between there, and I like that. So if I want to re-sand everything, I'll have to clear out all that moss. I think it looks really nice. I prefer to keep it so for the few weeds and blades of grass that grow sporadically through the different cracks or between the seams of the pavers, I'll use the flamethrower, and this torch works quite well. To go on, it'll burn them down, especially if it's moist or after a rain, because it'll heat up the soil underneath and damage the roots, which keeps it from growing back frequently. So I'll use this flamethrower on both patios, and it's not a one-time event. I'll have to do it several times throughout the summer, but it's easier than trying to pull those weeds. And I've thought about using Roundup or some other type of herbicide, but I have dogs, and every time they smell something new in the backyard when they go out, they smell it and they lick it. And I know they say that Roundup is safe after 4 hours or whatever, but I don't trust it. It's a poison, and I don't like my dogs messing with it, and they will. It's just what they do, man. So I don't use it at all. I would rather burn this stuff than go out and spray it and risk any health damage to my puppies. The next thing I needed to do was power wash the patios. Unfortunately, my power washer had a small disaster. I don't know whether it was a seal or a crack in the block. When I started it, I noticed some oil was dripping under the power washer, and so I looked at the machine, turned it off, and as I moved it away, the oil spilled quite significantly all on my patio. So I put it aside, and I went and borrowed my neighbor's. The first thing I had to do when I power washed, though, was I had to get some Dawn dish detergent, and I spread it around where the oil had spilled. Then I soaked it with the power washer, and then I got a hard bristle broom and scrubbed that area. This probably won't clean it completely. There'll still be a stain, but I'll get the majority of it off the patio by doing this. The next thing I did is I used the power washer to blow off the patio again. There was a lot of debris stuck on there that I didn't want to have to deal with. From under the table, there's some mud that cakes up and the blower won't get rid of. So I used the power washer with the handle and the nozzle to blow everything off. That clears out the debris before I do the next step, where I use a big washer disc. If you leave that debris on there, the washer disc goes down. I don't know, it kind of doesn't clean as well. So I get this done first. I get everything blown off. I get it semi-clean. But then to do the actual power wash and the scrubbing of the paver stones, I use a disc, and that makes the work a lot easier and a lot faster. So here's the disc that I use with the power washer. My power washer had a little bit more PSI than this one I'm using, so it's not really running this disc as well as mine would. I think when I get another one, mine was 3,300 PSI. I'm going to get one at 38. This one I'm using is 3,100 PSI, and it doesn't quite do the job as well as a higher pressure one would. But it does do it. I don't need this thing to be, so clean you could eat off it. I just want to clean most of the grime and a lot of the mildew and things that build up over the winter. So as you can see, pushing this thing around, it's almost like vacuuming. It's not that bad of a job. As a matter of fact, I don't even mind doing it. The most thing I don't like about this the most is the setup and the takedown. But it's not that big a deal, one step at a time, and I got through the whole patio. I got it cleaned up. Of course, on the edges, I had to use the sprayer because this won't go off the edge. You won't get quite clear there, but that's okay. That work wasn't too bad either. So when I finished with the power washing disc and got the whole patio done, this thing just sprays straight down, so it leaves pools of water with the dirty water. So what I have to do is get the sprayer then and spray off all the water and everything that's left on the patio. Again, this isn't hard work. It's just something you have to do, and in fact, it could be even therapeutic when you get to it. It's not that bad of a task, and I don't mind doing this. So I finished with the main patio in the backyard, and I got over to the beer garden. So the first thing I had to do is power wash the walkway, and I have a small stone bridge that goes over the river. So I cleaned all those off. I got that cleaned up. Then I sprayed off the beer garden patio with the sprayer on the power washer and cleaned up the edges. And after I finished that, I was able to come in and get my disc in there. And this patio is much smaller than the other one, and I made short work of this. Also, I have a small pad beneath the gate that separates mine and my neighbor's yard. We use this gate frequently, but we put this pad in when I put the gate in there, and inset some pavers in the concrete when we set the pad up in the shape of a cross. Looks pretty cool. You can see here with me using the power washer, there's a lot of grime and mildew on there that builds up in the winter time. Builds up in the summertime as well, but not as bad as the winter. Doesn't stay as wet, and power washer makes short work of it, cleans it up. It looks nice, just like new again. Well, if you made it this far through the video, I want to thank you, and if you wouldn't mind giving it a like if you enjoyed it, or even dropping a comment, and consider subscribing. My next video is going to be on my front patio that I had installed. I got some videos of the workers as they were putting that in, and then taking it out and putting it back in, but that'll all be in the next video. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.